Hi everybody, it's Casey Williams. For decades, the Mercedes E-Class has offered much of the comfort, handling, and prestige of the big giant S-Class, but in a more manageable package and with a more manageable price. Well, that really carries over to the crossovers, where at the top you have the GLS, at the very bottom of the lineup you have the GLA and the GLC, but right there in that sweet spot is the GLE we have this week, the GLE450. Let's go have a look at it. Well, I have to say the GLE styling is my favorite in the Mercedes midsize crossovers, even going back to the M-Class in the 1990s. I really like the connection to the sportier Mercedes. I like the star in the grille. I think this thing looks really sporty and cool. Even like it looks like a honeycomb grille, but it's actually little stars here in the grille too. Very cool. It has a very AMG look to it, very sporty. You got the twin hood bulges that connect back to the Mercedes 300 SL back in the 1950s. All LED headlamps, driving lamps, LED all ways around. Come around, you got the 21-inch AMG wheels. And again, I just really like the style. It just has a little bit of swagger to it. The fenders just look beefier. You know, the crease is just a little crisper. And it just looks like a more menacing machine. I really like that a lot. Just like we had recently on the EVs, this is absolutely useless. I don't know why somebody puts a step bar on the side of this. It's not that high of a vehicle. It's really just easier just to climb in, not get your pants all dirty. But it looks kind of cool. So come around the back. Again, you just kind of, from the back of it, you just kind of see the wide stance, how it just looks really planted. If you see the tires, they're also really wide, just really meaty tires, looks cool. The twin exhaust outlets. You got the trailer hitch connection back here. You can tow over 7,000 pounds with this, so you can put a pretty decent sized camper or boat on the back of it. Power hatch. The GLE is available with 3 rows of seats. This one only has 2 rows of seats, but they are split fold. In fact, there's 3 different pieces. The 2 seats on the side plus the ski pass-through in the middle. But back here, I mean, it's exactly what you expect from Mercedes. It's very well upholstered. It's very nicely carpeted all the way up the walls of it. You know, the aluminum trim coming inside. Underneath, pretty much a full-size spare. It's not quite full width, but certainly a full enough size spare that you can get down the road and get back to a gas station, get it fixed. You know, the luxury feel of a Mercedes, almost a Mercedes S-Class, carries over the inside. If you really reach around and poke and prod, you'll realize that it's not quite the same level of materials as an S-Class, but it is considerably better than a GLC would be, you know, the smaller crossover. So again, it's an E-Class, it's right in the middle of the two, and I think they pegged it just right. I really like the interior. You know, the new S-Class has gone to a vertical touchscreen. This is more of the last generation S-Class, but I think it works really well. I think it looks nice. It just fits in the dash really well with this twin screens and works really well. I like the flat screen on this side with the instruments, easy to read, reconfigurable, and of course the infotainment screen here. It used to be that you had a joy wheel controller for it. This one also has a touchpad, and it tends to be kind of this battle between the European style and the American and Japanese style of which type of system you prefer. So if you like the BMW style where you've got the joy wheel, you can use the touchpad here, but you can also touch screen this up here, swipe screen it, and go through all the functions. So I prefer this. I don't need to use a computer. I'm going down the road. I prefer this to use it. Fortunately, this is also very simple, very easy to use. You've got wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. You've got wireless phone charging down here in the console. So very easy to connect your devices. The sound system I think sounds superb. It's a Burmester audio system. Again, very S-Class in the way it sounds. It's very crisp. Just absolutely rocks the car out. Been on the highway, just thumping out to my favorite songs. Absolutely love it. 4-zone automatic climate control. 2 in the front. You got controls in the back for the 2 rear seats. But also other things to keep you really comfortable. I like the seats, they're supportive. On the driver's side, the lower cushion extends. Also on the passenger side, the lower cushion extends. So even tall people can get very comfortable in it. Heated and ventilated seats up in the front, a heated leather-wrapped steering wheel with wood on the rim here in the front, and you've got heated seats in the back. So everybody gets their comforts. I've got this closed now because it's a little sunny outside, a little bit hot. This has a twin screen panoramic, twin panel panoramic roof on the top. You can open all the way up, open the screen up. So again, when it's hot outside, it gets a little warm in here. You'll want to keep the cover closed. But on those nice days, open right up, which is really beautiful. And as you would expect on any Mercedes, the GLE has all the latest safety equipment. So it has a heads-up display, which I always like in cars, but also has a lot of other crash avoidance systems. It has automatic emergency braking. It's got lane keep assist. It's got blind spot warning, rear cross path protection. Also, you know, when you're out cruising on the highway, you've got adaptive cruise control. It keeps a safe speed, and also has lane centering. So you can't take your hands off the wheel, but you can set the cruise. You can put your hands lightly on the wheel. It'll steer itself. It has automatic lane change, so you can hit the turn signal. It will move the vehicle over. It will center itself in the lane and turn it off. So again, it's highly automated. Again, you have to keep your hands on the wheel, but it'll do pretty much everything else that you need it to do out on the highway. But overall, it's just been an absolute delight to be in the vehicle. I think for most people, the reason they buy Mercedes-Benz might be a little bit for prestige, but I think really the reason people buy them is just because of the way the vehicle drives and handles. Again, back in the old days, you just had this heavy iron sponge feel to the car. It just felt like, two dump trucks wouldn't move it off course. Just superbly comfortable. And this one's quite a bit different than that. This has an air suspension, and it's been interesting to me because I set in comfort mode and it really just wafts along, but it's not a controlled waft like an S-Class would be. To me, it feels a little more like a 1970s American car where you kind of go up a bump and it just kind of bumps, and so it is a comfortable ride, but I don't understand why it's been tuned that way. So I put it in sport mode, and I like that better. You kind of come off a bridge on the interstate and it does plan itself a little better, steering's a little tighter, throttle's a little more responsive. But I wouldn't call it particularly sporty. It's kind of more of what you should expect a vehicle like this to handle like in the comfort mode. So what I would really like is for that to be the comfort mode and to have a true sport mode that really stiffens up the vehicle. But in sport mode, it was just about the way I'd want Mercedes to feel and handle. This vehicle has plenty of power, no question there. Back in the old day, again, a 450 would suggest it had a 4.5 liter V8 under the hood. This one doesn't. It's more like the power of the old V8s. It has a 3 liter turbocharged inline 6, delivers 375 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque for the full system. This does have a light hybrid system. It contributes a little bit of torque and does help with the fuel economy. It gets 19 miles per gallon in the city, 26 on the highway. So I think for a vehicle that's this big, that can be purchased with 3 rows of seats, I think getting 26 miles per gallon on the highway is actually really decent. That's a lot of power for a vehicle like this. 0 to 60, 5.3 seconds. And like I mentioned when we were doing the walk around the outside, it can tow up to 7,700 pounds. So that's a pretty sizable boat or RV behind it as well. But overall, again, I've spent a lot of time this week on the interstate in it. Did a couple highway runs to visit friends and to do some stuff for work. I also drove around town quite a bit. And those big 21-inch wheels, they can kind of clunk over the rough pavement sometimes. But on the highway, put it in sport mode, and it really has been a joy to drive it. So this brings us to the price. And being kind of the E-Class of crossovers, the price is right there in the middle of it. So the GLE starts at about $62,500. This is the GLE450, pretty well equipped. It comes in at about $69,500. So again, right at $70,000 for this vehicle. And that puts up against, other light hybrids, BMW X5, Jeep Grand Cherokee. You can get a plug-in version of that one as well. And they're all in that price range, right around $70,000 fully equipped. So next week, we'll have another fun car. Until then, storm forward.